What's going on, football fans? It's me, J.R. Clark, back again with another Pound for Pound ATL. Live this time, as always, on Tuesdays, joined by my co hosts, Jonathan and Toby. Toby, what's going on, brother?
Man, I made it. I didn't know if I was gonna make it, but I got in here, man, by the skin of my teeth. But I'm
Look,
in
man,
here.
I needed to see a GPS tracker. You going down 75, bro.
Oh boy, it was about probably about the fastest I can get through the
Yeah.
traffic.
Now, Jonathan, you're going to have to unmute yourself before you start commenting on comments here.
No, I was gonna give you guys a chance to do lip reading exercises, and
Ah,
you
is that what it
failed.
was?
You
Hey,
failed.
look, I failed completely. Jonathan, how are you, sir?
I am doing great. After a Falcons win, I always do great. So
That's it. That's it. Well, obviously, we started out the season with a win. We got a lot to get going as the chat is already hopping and popping. So we might as well just go ahead and get into it. Oh, we starting off already, man. Fred got it going before
Fred,
we even went live.
what up,
Uh,
Fred?
there it is. Fred Bus tipped us $5. He said, I love the game, but Arthur Smith has to open up the playbook and let Ritter throw the ball. He has proven that he can make every throw. We're definitely going to get into that aspect of it. But there's a part of me that like absolutely agrees with you. And we're gonna talk about all that as the show goes on. But yes, I agree in that aspect. Bradley Burnett,
Bradley,
I almost said Burns, good Lord. Bradley
Bradley.
Burnett. He says Jesse Bates is him. Without those plays,
yes,
we lose. There's a good. I don't know about lose, but it definitely would not have been a 14-point swing in my opinion, because without those, as Toby pointed out, we scored on all three of those turnovers. Again, that we're going to get into, and so yes, that played a huge part into what we were, what we're doing. So uh, starting off with, we started off the season right. Like
Yes.
obviously we we continued history and broke a streak. If
yes,
I'm not
Yes.
mistaken, this is what that was 5 seasons that we have started with a loss on the season opener.
Yep.
If
yeah,
I'm not mistaken, I know every season of the Arthur Smith era we have started with
Yeah.
a season dud.
yeah.
Well, if you think about it, at the very least, we haven't been above 500 since 2017.
Yeah, and that was another point. We haven't had at any point in time we haven't been above 500. So it's been at least since 2017. So uh, because if we had won a season opener, we would have been above 500 by proxy of,
Right.
So obviously we weren't, So that's that's huge in and of
Yeah.
itself. And we didn't make history by allowing a rookie QB to win his, season debut.
Well, a
Uh,
rookie number one overall pick
or
QB.
yeah,
Yeah,
whatever that
that.
stat. As soon as I saw that stat come out on, it was either Friday or Saturday, I was like, "Oh, great, here we go."
Yep.
Because normally we are on the wrong side of history.
Yes.
So, but all right,
But
that
but it's well, I wanted to comment like
yeah,
the win does a lot of things. It like raises up the fan base.
yep,
The fans are super happy about it. Uh, it gets us over 500 for the first time in 5 years, right? But the biggest thing that I think this win does, and not even necessarily how we won, but just the win itself, coming out with a W at the end of the day. The most important thing I think this does is that it's the validation of what the coaching staff and management of the team is trying to build as far as the culture, the locker room, all those things, all of that, getting the W pays all that off, and it helps with guys buying in even more than maybe they were before, because now it's like they see the results
right,
of the things that they're doing, and the results are good, right? And so Like it just helps them to do that. And even yes, with all the problems that we've heard about, talked about on Twitter, with the offense specifically, all of that said, we still came out of there 2 touchdown up, and we
Yeah.
win. And to have to go back and try to fix those things after a win,
Way better.
way better
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
it is trying to go back and be like, all right, we did good enough to win, didn't quite get there, but let's keep working on this, guys. You know, and they're going to do it, but it's much easier to do after a win.
I
That's
mean,
right.
give Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith credit, right? They've done a great job with their PR both years, getting the fans hyped, getting them out there. Even last year, we were disappointed when we lost week 1, but you had to cash in this year.
Yep.
Man, you had a fan base in there like no other. Everybody's starting to believe, and them white towels was just going at it, man. You would have thought it was the Steelers up in there, with all those white towels just waving up in the air and getting everybody hyped and making so much noise, causing the offense for Carolina to just be off a step. And so we hadn't heard that in a long time. Usually when you have other teams here, nobody's up in there. And so you're not disrupting any kind of team. They're happy because shoot, they got more fans than you do.
Yeah, exactly. This is the first time that I can remember that the Benz has felt like home field advantage.
Yeah.
Now let's build on it and hope it definitely continues.
Did you guys see the I'm sure you have. There's a tweet out there that's somebody was taking of the broadcast, where I think it was after the first Allgeier touchdown. They were going to go kick off, and they were playing we read it like
Right.
that, and then they cut it off so he could go kick, but you could hear like the entire stadium keeps on singing it.
Oh no, that's slick. I'll have to check that out.
Wow,
And
yeah,
that
I
was
gotta check
awesome.
that out too.
That was awesome.
Oh shoot! Now True Black Gaming says that was the first game I've attended. It was a great time. I still got my flag.
Nice.
There you go. That's it.
That's an awesome game to go. Like the very first game I remember ever going to was first regular season game I ever went to was Matt Ryan's first game, and that place was nuts that day too. So
well, look at that. We were both there.
There you go. Y'all didn't even know.
We didn't even know it then.
And that's when I started watching football. So
yeah,
no. All right. Everybody's favorite segment. I know Willie's already in here, and I want to give him time to get his prediction up there before we really get into it. But it is time of the show where we get into our ballers and fallers, and then we'll move into the thoughts about the game as a whole. So, there it is. Bang.
Yeah,
Really good Lord, sir.
Willie Doc.
Willie Doc.
I knew he was in here. Oh man, okay. He said he gives a $20 tip, which is crazy. He says ballers, JB3, fallers, Drake London for not catching a pass and a motion penalty. Honorable mention, Bijan and Allgeier. Dishonorable mention, paging Dr. Pass Rush. Need you on the field stat. Okay. Oh no, that's good ones. That's I like that quite a bit there, Willie. I like your take on that. I think all those are very good. I don't know if I'm necessarily like ready to be like downing on Drake just yet. I'll give it a game or two. But anyway, I do agree with that. So let's see what the pound for pound crew had to say. Let's see. All right, so bam. Okay, here we go. All right, so ballers. Let me get rid of this banner so it's not all up in the way. Okay, here we go. So first one, you got it part of the way right. Obviously, JB3, Jesse Bates, big free agent acquisition, coming in first game, showing why you brought him in here. We talked about it on the defensive podcast that we had right before the season started about a lot of the safety rotations going from split safety to rotating to the middle of the field closed looks. And if I'm not mistaken, that's what those 2 picks came off of. And so variations on, I think like cover 3 is what I was seeing people say.
what really like did him in on those two picks for Young is I think he falls victim, and this happens to a lot of college quarterbacks. Some manage to either get by with the skin of their teeth because they throw almost picks, or they
Right.
get picked like this, and that is like this same exact route combination, the same exact defense played in college. The window for him to throw is much bigger,
Right.
right? You don't play against a guy, even at Alabama,
You're not
even
playing
playing
against a
against
Jesse Bates.
SEC. Yeah, you're not playing against a guy the caliber of Jesse Bates. Even when you're playing against other SEC teams, even when you're playing against the other top tier teams, you're not playing a Jesse Bates guy that
Yeah.
often.
Right.
Okay, so he gets in there, he sees it, but he's like, this is a pass I'd probably thrown 100 times plus before in college, and this is going to go exactly the way it did in college. He throws it, and Bates is just better,
Yep.
and is able to get him. So
Exactly. Toby, anything you want to add on there?
It just felt so good to finally beat a rookie QB and not have to be embarrassed that you don't beat the rookie QB. I mean, for the first time, our Falcons made that rookie look like a rookie,
Yeah.
and we haven't seen that in years. And so
No,
I
it's
was just
been
excited just to see that to come to fruition finally.
no. Yeah, I completely agree. Other like other baller obviously is the rookie Bijan Robinson. We picked these two guys because they're newcomers to the team. Uh, Bijan averaged what 5.6 yards a carry on his
yep,
on his 10 carries,
Wow.
um, as advertised on everything that you wanted
Yes.
him to be. His first career touchdown happened in the first game, and it happened in a way that showed you just how special he was. It
Yes.
yes,
wasn't it wasn't like a toss play wide open run into the end zone. You know, he catches a little pass that dead to rights.
yeah.
And
If that's Algier out there,
oh yeah,
that's probably a loss. He maybe gets by the first guy, maybe,
right.
but there's no way he's breaking through those two guys. So he probably ends up in a fourth down
Yeah.
situation.
So,
So
he makes a guy miss in the backfield, makes him look silly in the backfield, and
yep,
then splits two defenders.
Yeah.
And like in a way, this is gonna be a stretch. The chat may even blow up once I say this. Uh, but in a way, very like honoring the number 7 that he was wearing, splitting those two, defenders to walk into the end zone. Uh, but it was a very like special talent on display for that touchdown. And
what was really awesome about it was like you said, it showed you exactly what you were getting in him because you got to see the flash, right? You got to see
Right.
right,
the escapability, the missed tackle ability that he's got with that sudden stop and the guy just flies by him.
yep.
Then he goes through the two guys, but he doesn't split them like Vic did.
No,
Uh,
no, no.
yeah, he doesn't quite split them like that with like where he just was so fast that they ended up running into each other. He got hit from both sides by those
Yeah.
guys and
Yep.
shrugged them off
And
and
shrugged them
kept
both
Sure
going.
off
did.
and just
Yeah,
Sure did.
so yeah, that was a well earned. And like you could throw Tyler Algier in here, you could throw uh
yeah,
I'm trying to think of anybody else that you could throw in this scenario. You could throw Pitts for the awesome catch or whatever, but we really felt like these two guys were so worth it. So
Yeah.
now we have some guesses on the follows. Now that's coming in, we'll take them first. Bubba Gump says follow O line. Chris
Oh man.
follows it up with McGarry's pass pro is my follow.
yep,
Uh, so yeah, Willie says yeah, that pass pro was really bad for the first 3 quarters. So let's see, are y'all on to something? Because our faller is the right side of the offensive line.
Oh
Only
my
Pete.
goodness.
Come on,
yeah,
Man.
guys.
yep,
Both of y'all got paid.
Yep.
Lynchman, the highest paid guard in the league right now. Now McGarry came back on a very team friendly deal, but still, you both
yeah.
got paid. And it took y'all until about midway through the third quarter to actually look like an O line. And now I'll chalk this up to, so I guess in a way you could put the like opaque figure of Arthur Smith at the very back of it, this seemed like an O line that hadn't played much up to this point. It took them almost 3 quarters to, or like 3.5, almost 4 quarters to start looking like a decent O line
Well,
in the pass protection.
I look at it as like game week one, especially when you're talking, and same thing from a Carolina perspective. Like their offensive line looked better, okay, but they're saying they're on the same in the same boat as we were, and sometimes it works out for you, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
But week one is a really tough week to game plan against, because especially in a situation where you're looking at Carolina, they have a lot of new faces on offense. They got new coaches, new schemes. They got new just about everything. Defense kind of the same. I think we, for the most part, like especially in the run game, we were able to manage that somewhat better. Pass pro had issues with, but I still think there's some wrinkles there in that new with the new leadership they have that potentially causes issues when you're not expecting them to do certain things.
Right.
Now, part of that is you know exactly who Derek Brown is. You know exactly who Brian Burns is. So, why did you let them run free? But
somebody set it up here, and it was so like aggravating to see. Hold on, I'm gonna try to find. Oh yeah, Cottonmouth ATL says 76 can't block a speed rusher. No, he can't. Like,
no.
like still can't block him. We 4 years, 5 years into the league. I guess he ain't never gonna be able to block a speed rusher.
I guess not.
But at the same time, like again, what I will say is this: like when we got to the second half, like we had 4 sacks against us. They were all in the first half.
Yeah.
No more sacks in the second half. The offensive line made some adjustments.
Well, go ahead, finish your statement. I don't want to keep. I'm sorry, I keep running over you.
No, I run over you, so run over me. But at the end of the day, like they made adjustments at the half. I applaud them for being able to do that. Whereas you look at Carolina, they went through the first half. Either they felt like they were on the right track, so they didn't make it. Whatever adjustments or whatever fixes they felt like they needed to make were different or whatever. But we ended up on the right side of those adjustments.
Right.
The defense started playing better against, getting more pressure. They started doing more stunts and twists. Whereas in the first half, they're a little more vanilla, a little more just straight man rush. They didn't do as much of the blitzing. They started blitzing more in the second half. And you started to see those pressures pile up in the second half of that game. And I'll say this, throughout his entire tenure here, for the most part, that's what we've seen from Arthur Smith. He'll go in with a game plan. If things don't quite work out, we'll make those adjustments as we go through that game. And throughout the game, we tend to get better and better throughout the game and throughout the season. Like this will be just another learning, stepping stone to learn for the rest of the season.
Right. Let's see. Toby, is there anything you want to add on there?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, man. It's 17 weeks in the season now as opposed to 16. And so I think a lot of teams will use that week one as another preseason game. The only difference is now you can play all your starters for 4 whole quarters and not just a quarter of a game. And you can clearly tell that Atlanta Falcons was not showing much. And history shows with Arthur Smith, the last 2 seasons, he doesn't show anything until the second game of the season. So at that second game, when you get to the second game, is when you're going to really see what this offense looks like. And I'm hoping that you'll see better passing because it was anemic in this game, to say the least. But one of the things that was funny that I noticed was Carolina doing a lot of the stuff that we were doing as far as diamond looks, pistol looks. They were showing all the looks that we normally show. Mm-hmm. And we weren't really showing a lot of those looks. So I think you're going to see week 2 against Green Bay here. This is when you're going to see what the Atlanta Falcons defense looks like. Now, they had to let a few things out the bag because they needed to secure the win. So they had a lot of those stunts to show because they weren't doing that, like you were saying, Jonathan, at the first half. They weren't showing a lot of them stunts. But once they finally figured out Carolina's offensive line and how they were blocking the blocking schemes, they were wearing them out and they were getting to Bryce Young like it was nobody's business.
Yeah, they did finally get moving in the right direction as far as that went. Somebody said up here, like I was trying to find it, that Bergeron looked good.
Yeah.
Bergeron
Here
did
it
look
is.
good. Dahlman, yeah, there. Thank you. Uh, Dahlman looked good as well. As far as the middle of the line looked good. You did see some adjustments when they, I was just really expecting him to roll Ritter some more because it seemed to create him some easier, completions. And I think that that was the name of the game this week was let's get into some like easy rhythm,
Yeah.
and let's have high percentage throws, that kind of thing. Because you were talking about like week one being almost viewed as still a preseason game in a sense. It's just a preseason game that counts, right?
Yeah.
The week one was like weird all across the league, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I put together something that I just kind of want to show just for a second. Here's just some stats of some highly thought of QBs from around the league. Um, Too much to my wife's chagrin, who has him on her fantasy team for our church league. Joe Burrow threw 82 yards on 31 attempts. And he
Wow.
just signed a massive deal. And like that was crazy, right? 31 attempts, 14 completions, 82 yards, and he took 2 sacks. Like no touchdowns, no turnovers. I guess, hey, good, no turnovers, but they weren't moving the ball at all, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Now, Josh Allen last night, 41 attempts. Holy crap, that's that's quite a bit on the attempt range, right?
Hmm.
Uh, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, and 5 sacks. That's not good.
Three interceptions to the same guy.
Yeah, to the same guy. He must have thought he was wearing blue, because holy Pete,
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite Pat Mahomes only threw for 226 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's great. 1 interception, not no big deal. Didn't take a sack. Great, right? You can count a lot of that on like Mahomes' receivers dropping. I'm not going to get into why for every one of them. I'm just looking at performances, overall performances. The guy that everybody he wanted here in Atlanta, Lamar Jackson, 22 attempts,
Mm.
169 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and 4 sacks. Now they win the game, and nobody's really talking about it, right? I'm trying to paint this picture to put this all in perspective for our fan base. Jalen Hurts, 33 attempts, only 179 yards passing. That was a rainy game, kind of messy, what have you. They still come away with a win. Justin Herbert, 33 attempts, 227 yards, 1 touchdown, got sacked 3 times. Kirk Cousin, 44 attempts,
Mm.
33 completions, 344 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 2 sacks. That's a pretty like standard, uh, stat line there.
Yeah.
Now compared
Hmm.
to Ritter's, 118 yards, 18 attempts, 1 touchdown, 4 sacks.
Yep.
But he had 15 completions at 18%. Millie says, he says, Deshaun Watson and Dak on this list there? No, I stopped there at those. I just kind of randomly picked uh, some QBs to look at because I wanted to highlight just how oddball the first week really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what Dallas scored 40 points,
Yep. But
and
that was like that defense, especially is what won them that. That was what won them the game. Like
well,
that
oh yeah,
defense
for
was
sure. Well,
super
that's what I was
crazy.
gonna
And
say.
yes.
Like they scored 40 points, and Dak's stat line looked a lot like uh, Ritter's stat line, or
Yeah.
Hmm.
like as far as yards and touchdowns and that jazz. So before we get too far out over our skis as a fan base, something me and Toby have said before, something me and Jonathan have said before, like you got to wait till week 2 or 3 or 4 even
Yeah. Yeah.
to really see what this team is. Like,
Right.
when me and Jonathan were sitting down figuring out what game we were going to week 4, that was the reason why we decided to go to around that game because we're like, by then they should really be hitting their group.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially
Hopefully they do.
especially on offense, right?
Right.
Where that timing is needed. And people will say it's excuses. It is what it is. But Arthur Smith, I know after the game, talked about he was really unhappy in the first half with like some of the spacing, some of the like how guys were going out into their routes, the spacing of the routes, the time. Just there was a lot of stuff that was getting thrown off. But also, like at the end of the day, people were talking about the play calling and no creativity. I mean, there's plenty of creativity. We saw plenty of creativity in the run game. We see plenty of creativity in the passing game. The problem was we had I watched not all the entire game. I watched probably the first quarter and a half of all 22, which is the part that I wanted to look at because what I noticed was if you watch those the all 22 for the early parts of the game, the Pitts was broke a dude's ankles.
Oh yeah,
on that first sack. Is it the first or second sack? Absolutely broke this guy's ankles off. But the problem was by the time he did that, Ritter was already running for his life, trying to get away, and then ended up getting sacked. So the plays were there, the pass protection was not, and that's where a lot of that ended up breaking down.
And that's y'all notice it. Y'all aren't the fan base that comes in here and watches us.
Yeah,
isn't a stupid fan base. Isn't the pedestrian fan. And y'all know come second half, the play calling had to change because of the protection. Yes. You got into that bomb to Pitts was out of 13 personnel. You had Janu Smith, Michael Pruitt, and Pitts on the field at the same time. Trying to get buy Ritter some more time.
Yeah.
So hopefully here in the next week or two, game or two, that pass protection will pick up to where you can start getting to some of those concepts.
And you're not. No, go ahead, Toby.
No, I think it will, man. Like I said, traditionally we've seen Arthur Smith and his group of guys. They don't show anything that serious on the first week, but this week coming up, you're going to see what the offense really looks like. In my opinion, this week against Green Bay.
Yeah, Emmanuel Brown has a point. He says we got to start running the QB read like Marcus ran. I don't think they're going to run it as much, but especially down there towards the goal line, there were times where Desmond could have just walked in, because everybody's so focused on that run game. And these are the things that, as the season goes on, we see how people are going to play us, and you're going to start getting, different things and different looks.
Right.
But I think it all for this team, it's all going to start with the O-line as far as when they can get right now, this past week, running is what you could do, and that's what we did. And we were as stout as Green Bay's, not Green Bay, we'll get into that in a minute, as stout as the Panthers line was, you were still able to pretty much run on that wheel.
Yeah.
With both Allgeier and Robinson, which was a good sight to see. Another good sight to see.
And Lindstrom, I know I did. Sorry. Lindstrom is to me, he's like the Patrick Mahomes. He's not that as good, but he's we look at a Patrick Mahomes game, we look at a Josh Allen game, although Josh Allen maybe some people are starting to turn on him. But you look at Burrow. He has a bad game. Nobody expects that to be the norm from here on out. So I expect Lindstrom to pick it up, and he's not going to go against a Derek Brown type guy every single week. Those freaks. So he'll get settled in, and McGarry I think will get better as the season goes along. Again, I think we're just
they'll just start hiding him like they did last year. Even by even the last game when we played Tampa, Akeem Hicks ran past him. So they'll just start hiding him like they did last year. They know what they have in McGarry.
Yeah.
That's why he got paid what he got paid, which was, as far as the right tackle market went, very cheap for a right tackle. So they know what they have in him. He knows what he is. They're just, they're, like y'all said, like you were saying, Toby, just trying to hold your cards as long as you can
Yeah.
and hoping that you can hold up on some relatively basic concepts. Couldn't do
Yep.
it against Brian Burns, who is
Yeah.
trying to show Carolina, hey, you don't want to lose me,
Right.
and he was a
No, go ahead
monster.
and lose them.
Yeah, yeah,
Atlanta,
please, yeah,
Atlanta gonna be right
lose him
there.
to Atlanta. But another
We
guy
stay in the
who,
division.
yeah, another guy we were glad got lost in the offseason and landed in Atlanta was JB3, Jesse Bates
Oh
with his
man.
2 picks. Holy crap. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I was expecting, Jesse Bates to make an impact. There was no way I was expecting 2 picks and a forced fumble and 10 tackles
Wow. Yeah.
And yeah,
in
no.
his
I
first
remember.
game. Like,
Yeah.
holy Pete, that was a masterful performance. And if any of y'all
Yeah.
had a chance to watch the AJ Terrell mic'd up, like every time AJ Terrell went over there to like dap up Bates or like hype him up or whatever, Bates was like laser focused.
Yes, he was.
And
Yeah,
I
he was.
and
Yes, he was.
like he was in it to win it. And he even made a handful of statements like at the end of the game talking about uh things good QBs do, like pumping up Ritter, like full on admitting like we didn't have a good first half. You know, like we didn't play good in the first half. Talking about basically the offense didn't play good, but talking about how they pulled it together and made that big time throw. And so far, Jesse Bates has been more than advertised.
Oh
Yeah.
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 Go ahead, Toby.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, the thing that, like, I love the interceptions. Obviously, that we got points off of the interceptions. We got points off the forced fumble. We got points off of all the turnovers that he was had a hand in. All
Yep.
right, which was all of them.
Yeah.
um, like, I won't say Bates won the game for us. Was he a ginormous part of that? Absolutely.
Major.
We still had to go in and score those points. We still had to either
Oh
get
yeah.
into field goal range. We still had to go in and get into the end zone. So he made it a lot easier for us. Absolutely. Okay. But the thing that, like, outside of the interceptions, the tackles is what I was really enjoying watching. What I was really super paying attention early on in the game was even when they were able to get receptions, like by and large, for the most part, he was like reception, and then here was Jesse Bates coming in and immediately brought the guy down. There was nothing after the catch. Like, we were very good at limiting yards after catch, and that's what I'm excited about, because now you have to make, and we didn't let anything get past us deep. We didn't give up anything cheap.
Mm-mm.
So you make a team have to work their way down the field, and the more you can do that, the more you're likely to get uh, a mistake or something like that, like we saw with the interceptions and like we saw with the fumble. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me say this. You got to give Terry Fontenot and Kyle Smith a lot of credit, right? We've spent a lot of money on big ticket, high dollar guys, and they suck. I mean, i.e. Dante Robinson, we paid all
Oh
that
god.
money to get him from the Texans.
oh
Ray
I.e.
man,
Ray
Edwards.
Edwards, we paid all that money to get him
oh
from
god,
Minnesota,
he is the
right?
poster child for wasted
Yes.
money.
And so all that money we wasted on guys that didn't fit our schemes, and Terry and Kyle got it right. I mean, you go out here and you pay big money to get Jesse Bates, and look what he does the first week. Now he was doing this in practice too. So it just tells you that you got a player that not only can do this in practice, but now he can take that and translate it into the game. And we saw it. We saw it. He baited, and pun intended, he baited Bryce Young
Yeah.
twice to
Yeah.
get those 2 interceptions. I mean, he just straight attacked the football and held on to it. It was just so exciting. I ain't seen that in a long time. It was just so exciting to watch it, man.
Yeah,
I mean, to have that kind of a presence in the middle of the field,
Yeah.
like, is going to allow the scheme to be so versatile. That I think, something we had talked about, one of the strengths of the defense may end up being the secondary, and at
Yeah.
least through game one, that's definitely what
Mm-hmm.
it has been.
Yeah.
Matty Ghost,
Matty
we
Ghost, man.
Hey,
Wait a
appreciate you.
minute.
appreciate it, brother.
He says,
Oh,
Josh Allen had a terrible game, and for the most part, they had pass protection. Ritter did well with a vanilla scheme and no pass protection. Here's the difference, and I've been thinking about that. Josh Allen is a gunslinger. So,
mhm.
like, Josh Allen's got a huge arm, and he wants to make that bomb play almost all the time. Okay, here's the difference, right? Ritter legitimately was playing like he was playing safe ball.
Yeah,
Now he ain't gonna always be able to, but that's the type of game scheme that they would like to have. Run at will, high percentage throws, and take your shots when you can,
yeah,
right? Which they did at the end of the game. We'll get into that here in a second. But uh, Ritter was 15 for 18. Like that's 80 something percent completion rating. That's like 83%, completion rate. That's like obviously he's not going to live there, but that's efficiency. That's Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith is wants efficiency. I tell everybody all the time, I bang the table, go back and look at 2021 or 2020 Tennessee Titans. Like the efficiency of that offense. That's what he's pushing towards.
yeah,
And that efficiency of that offense produced points. And like in his mindset, to me, I think that's where he's got to be headed. Fred Butts again, we
Fred.
appreciate you.
Fred, appreciate it, brother.
He says this defense is going to be special, and we're winning Sunday 30-31 to 10.
Oh
We'll
man,
get
let's
it.
go.
Yeah, we'll get into
Let's
that. We'll
go.
get into that.
Yeah,
This defense has the makings to be special if this pass rush can show up
Yes.
uh, in a more consistent way. Somebody had said something about. Okay, here it is. Millie Mills, our good buddy Millie Mills says, I think Troy Anderson fits better as a outside linebacker edge guy instead of an inside linebacker. He seems more comfortable. Just attack the passer rather than reading and reacting. What do y'all think about that? I think that Troy Anderson didn't actually look all that bad. His athleticism allowed him to, like when he did overrun a little bit, like his freak athleticism allowed him to get back into the play.
yeah.
And we have to remember, like again, with a lot of these guys, I know I'm running off at the mouth too much today, but a lot of these guys, you're talking about they are less than a season worth of starting. Like Troy Anderson didn't get the starting gig until like 3 or 4 games towards the end of the season last year, right? So
Mhm.
this is his first, like this is probably his fifth to sixth game starting in the NFL. Desmond Ritter, this is his fifth game starting in the NFL. So, like, just try to keep that in mind as
Well,
we're going through
and all there's a huge difference between rushing the passer in a blitz situation,
the being a
where you're just firing straight up the middle, basically, and you're all you're trying to do is just and you're trying to beat guards and centers, not the ginormous tackles. Um, then just straight up lining up against an offensive tackle, right or left, and having to use the hand fighting and all of that stuff that goes into that. There's a huge difference between those two things. And there was a play that really sticks out in my mind. It was a third down play, it was like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, something like that. And Bryce Young escapes out to the left. He is. It looks like initially like he's going to run it, but then he sees Troy Anderson coming full steam right at him. He pitches it out to the left to this guy, who catches it, and Troy Anderson, who's running full tilt at Bryce Young, just turns
yeah
right and
fields and
still he peels off and is still able to get that guy out of bounds and tackled basically before he can get that first down, forcing a fourth down and get us off the field. Like
right.
when things are working right with him, he looks good. Are there times where he's going to have some patches where he's like not where he's supposed to be or he overruns something? Yeah, he's a young guy who has not been a linebacker for like his entire career.
Right.
And so there's going to be some rough spots there, but at the end of the day, like there are enough flashes that I see from him that I'm super excited about where we're going to be with him later in the year.
Yep. Josh Gillum says, I'm gonna be honest, fellas. Until we get a consistent 4-man pass rush, I won't be satisfied. You and every coach in America. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's the dream. The dream
Yeah.
is a consistent 4-man pass rush.
And very few teams can do that.
Yeah,
like,
very, very few.
on a consistent basis.
Right. I will say this: 2 of the top 10 graded defensive tackles as of yesterday, as of last night, was Grady Jarrett and David Onyemata. So that's I'm kind of happy with that. That was like pass rush win rates, I think is what it was.
Yes, it was pressure rate.
Pressure rates. That's what it was. That's what it was. So yeah, I think the defense has a real good chance to be special, especially if the pass rush can pick it up. Like you had Lorenzo Carter get home, Troy Anderson got home, Calais Campbell almost got home. He almost got his 100th sack.
Yeah.
So I think we're doing good. On to the next topic with no real good segue. Anyway, the running back tandem. Like how nice was that? We haven't seen some running backs like that since Prime, Freeman, and Coleman.
Yeah.
So what was I gonna say? Like when I put that out there as a topic, I was like, oh, I got much more to say about that. Then I just said it, and I was like, well, that's kind of it.
I mean, let's put it this way: Tyler Allgeier still showed us why he was 1,000-yard running back from last season. He showed us he's still the man. Bijan Robinson is there, of course, but Tyler came out there with a chip on his shoulder, and that's why you get players like you get, like Bijan Robinson, because we know this is a Bible verse, but even coaches use it: iron sharpening iron.
That's right.
And they use this term all the time, and you saw that iron sharpening iron with how Tyler Allgeier and Bijan Robinson were playing off each other. I mean, 3 total touchdowns between both of them in this game. Okay, both your running backs scored touchdowns. Allgeier scoring twice, and Bijan scoring once. And the way they were doing it, man, this offense has a chance, man, behind that run game to be totally just dangerous for a lot of teams. And we're not the only one that has the tandem. I mean, you got some other teams out there with some good tandems that we're going to see as well.
Right. The one thing, like obviously we can. Millie says, I can't wait to get CP back in the mix.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
Wow.
Somebody said earlier up in the chat, we're so deep in that aspect that they forgot that CP wasn't even playing. Like, and that wasn't a bad thing. I completely agree. The running back is 1A, 1B.
Yeah, a lot of people. I remember I saw I think it was Damsky actually who tweeted that out, where it's like, this is where Allgeier's going on game days, and he showed a bench.
Oh yeah.
And I saw some people talking about, like, with Allgeier on his touchdowns, they were like, "Oh, he's stealing him from Robinson." And it's like when you're down in a goal line situation like that, like Allgeier is the perfect battering ram for that.
Yeah, man.
And it's like, okay, on that, but here's the deal. Like Matty Ghost, we appreciate that.
Appreciate it, Matty.
He said, noticed our red zone offense, 100% touchdowns. Yes, and the deal is with the touchdown that Robinson caught, like Allgeier was on the field at the same time. Like that affords those things that you can do because of Robinson's, ability. And so now, like, you can't just stack the box when Allgeier's out there, because if Bijan's out there as well, you can flex him out and do what he did and got in the end zone.
Yeah.
So, I'll say this. Let's see. Oh, good Lord, Joshua Lady, we appreciate that.
Joshua.
He said, let's just get that second W against Green Bay. We're definitely on to something.
Let's go.
Yeah, no doubt our running game is a problem. Wait till CP steps in.
Yeah.
100%, right?
Now,
Like,
now I'm gonna tell you though, that Green Bay defense was after Justin Fields hard, so we're gonna have to be coming out there really doing much better than we did. We can't afford no slow start on Sunday with
now,
the pass protection. Can't do it.
what is that?
We're gonna need to dial up personally. I mean, we need to dial up some more like screens,
Yeah. Yep.
like
We're gonna have to.
something to try to slow down the pass
Yeah.
rush,
Yep.
Yeah,
make it a
they're
little bit
gonna
more
have to get
manageable.
into that. Let's see. It was. I'm trying to pull up the. Here we go. There was something I said. I thought about putting it in there because of what we're going to do, but Jordan Love, like, guess how many completions he had? Now this is a
Mm.
difference in style. I'll give you that. He
Yeah.
had 3 touchdowns, 245 yards. I get it. So he's throwing it much deeper. But his completions, he had 15 completions. So it's not
But
like
he was
he.
on, and he wasn't exactly like he had some good like deeper shots, but like a giant chunk of his yardage came off of two
Off of
Aaron
Yak.
Jones
Yeah.
plays
Yep.
that were just crazy good
Yep.
plays, but still,
Right.
that's what they
And
were.
like, there's nothing
Yep.
against it. I'm not trying. I'm
No,
just, it's, the stats aren't everything, but they help tell a story.
Right.
That's where it is to me.
Right.
Uh, let's see. Pasta Girl says, "I know it's early, but I like the name Pasta Girl." Anyway, I
Yeah.
know it's early, but this Green Bay might be big later on for tiebreakers and playoff implications. Exactly. Like
yeah,
you need to get, especially early on, you need to get it. You need to gain as much ground as you can gain.
Yeah.
Like everybody but the Panthers in the division won.
Yep.
So you
I
didn't
was gonna
gain
say
any
that.
ground
Yeah.
there,
Right.
you know? So like uh Tampa Bay went up and like shocked Minnesota and beat them on the road, and then the Saints held on in a weird win against the Titans. So like we didn't really gain much ground. So we have to win this game. Like
Yeah.
it's not a must win, but if you want to start being able to separate yourself, like this is when you do it, right?
yeah.
Uh Millie says, Toby, that's because Justin Fields' buddy's low key trash and got no weapons that they won't attack us like that. Uh, yeah, I put out a tweet on Sunday watching that game. I was like, I don't understand like why my timeline, or at least the people I follow, like defend like Fields more than anything else I've ever seen in my life.
Uh,
Like if that was if that was Ritter doing those things,
yeah.
dude, he would be buried. He
Oh
would
yeah.
be like absolutely just buried. And it
But,
just boggles my mind.
and I saw somebody tweet out something to the effect of like, give Justin Fields, I don't know, hypothetically speaking, give him Ayuk and CMC and see if he doesn't pass for like 400 yards and 5 touchdowns and prove me wrong. It's like,
Yeah.
how?
Yeah, what do you want from me? Like, yeah, what do you want from me there, right? All right.
Yeah. They took a lot of his. They took a lot of his weapons out from him. Now I'm not gonna say he don't have weapons there because I mean you when you got a backfield with Herbert and Deontay Foreman, that's a good
Well,
running back tandem right there alone. And you got Mooney
and you
and
traded for Moore, like DJ
traded for
Moore,
more.
and
They Green Bay just did a great job just knowing how to shut them down. When you look at
oh
all the
yeah,
division games that we had this week in week one, it was a great strategy by the schedulers for one to do that, and because those games are going to mean a lot down the stretch,
oh
starting
yeah.
off the way that we did. Even us with us playing against a division rival week one already. So when you look at the Jets and the Bills, you see Josh Allen struggled against the Jets because it's a division game. And division games are much tougher than just playing someone just within the conference or out of the conference.
I completely agree. Like putting division games at the beginning and the end of the season, they know what they're
Yeah,
doing there.
yeah,
Trying to create that drama, trying to create that storyline.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
they got hey look, they got a script for a reason, right? Uh, let's see. I will say, like Genuine Man says, Trey Flowers didn't look bad out there either. Jeff's gonna have to step up to get back on. I think when Jeff's healthy, he's back on the field, but in spot duty, Trey Flowers, at least in this game, didn't necessarily look like a liability.
No.
So in that aspect,
Like there was plenty of times where, especially early on, where Bryce Young had, like, you could tell he was like, okay, read one, not there, two, not there, three. He was going through his progressions because guys were locked up and
Yeah.
he wasn't able to go to read one or read
right,
two or read three. He was having to dump off a lot of stuff because we were locking them down on the back end.
yep,
And part of that back end is Trey Flowers. So yeah, he was doing, like, did he give up some passes? Yeah, he did. But at the end of the day, it was nothing. We didn't. It was nothing backbreaking. There was nothing.
no,
We didn't give up anything cheap. Everything that had a guy where he caught the ball either he got tackled immediately by Bates, or the cornerback that was on him was right on him. They were right in their hip almost the entire day.
Yeah.
Millie. Yeah, I completely agree. Millie has an interesting question. It's like, why was Mike Hughes inactive though? Part of me thinks is because like he spent the last month of training camp injured,
Yeah.
and D Alford come on and was playing, playing good. No reason not to have Alford out there. Uh, and so it could have been a deal where they felt okay with like leaving him inactive with the cornerback depth that they had. I'll be
Yeah,
interested to see if that continues because, to my understanding, like the contract that he signed was essentially a 1 year, $3 million contract,
Yeah.
but that's still quite a chunk of money to not have on the field, right?
yeah,
Hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see how that progresses. But it's not like they ain't done that before because heck, last year, week one, Tyler Allgeier was inactive. So, uh,
yeah.
we definitely could have used him on that one.
Yeah.
But I think he's like Mike is back at practice now, so that may just be a ramp up period for him. So uh, Fred says Arthur Smith, Jeff, and CP could be back tomorrow. That's something we have to keep an eye on. Uh, One good sign about CP, they released uh, Goodwin today,
Yeah.
and so they cut
Mm.
him off the 53 and brought back Joe Gonzano. So that may give you like a better feeling that CP might actually be back
Yeah.
next week. So that which is good. But now we're on to Green Bay. We're talking about next week, possibly having CP back in the fold, possibly having Jeff Okuda out on the field, which both would be uh, great additions, I think.
Yeah.
But I think as we have been kind of alluding to back and forth throughout the whole show, you're going to have to get a little unvanilla now, right? You're going to have to start getting into your bag a little bit. Willie Doc, appreciate that
Well, it
greatly.
does.
Uh,
Good dog, man.
he says questions for each. Oh, okay. All right then. Questions for
All
each. He
right.
says, Toby, give us a quick think tank on what Arthur Smith will do against Green Bay. So we'll start there.
I think you're going to see those diamond looks come out this time around. You didn't see that um, the first time, so I think you're going to see those diamond looks come out. I think you're going to see those screen passes getting Drake London a little bit more involved. So I think you're going to see the offense get a lot more involved with these quick passing games because you're going to need it against Green Bay. I hear what's being said that Justin Fields is trash, but Green Bay nonetheless was getting after him pretty good, and you don't want that against Ritter. So I think you're going to see a lot more quick passing game this week, and them screen passes being used in this
Right.
game.
No, that's good. That's I think you're on point there, John. Tell us what Nielsen will do for the run defense because it kind of got a little gashy.
Yeah.
So
I think
Mm.
most of that's going to be tweaking and making sure people are getting their run fits properly, making sure they're not overrunning their gaps, uh, just trying to make sure that the defensive tackles are, just try to get it so that they're holding on to their blocks a little bit more,
Yeah,
not letting guys get up to the second level. So it's I think uh, you know they got their punches in, but we also were able to stop them when we needed to in some good situations. So like I don't they had a really good run game going on, and also we'll have a little bit better of a feel for like what Green Bay is going to want to do defensively.
Yeah,
So
you got
that'll give us a little bit better of a
you got a week of tape now.
game
You got an
plan, right?
idea. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So last one, Jr. For real, what did Evan Katie do to be on the milk carton? First of all, he nicknamed himself Dr. Pass Rush. Like,
Yep.
you can't do that. You can't give yourself a nickname, right?
Yep.
It's one thing to give yourself a handle on Twitter or a gaming console or what have you, but you can't just give yourself a nickname. And so, anyway, I say that, but no, he just has to be a little bit more consistent. He has to. He did have some decent pressure rates, but outside of that, he's actually got to get home to get off the milk carton. If not, right now he's looking like what most, I hate to say it like this, what most second round pass rushers end up looking like. Just rotational players.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can break out of that. So let's see.
Well, I also think that if we start to do more on a more consistent basis, obviously you're not going to do it for downs where they're going to run the ball, but if you can in more obvious passing situations or gamble sometimes, if we're going to do more like twists and stunts and things like that, I think that's where he could probably make some hay with his speed, with his quickness. Instead of trying to like straight up beat guys, you maybe have to kind of Vic Beasley him a little bit, where you get him on the move, and he can use that speed to kind of loop around and on some of those games and stunts and what have you. So we'll see.
Bobby Carter says, "Remember, everybody's got tape this week." You're right. You're 100%
All
right.
right.
And that kind of leans into Toby's point earlier. If you're looking at a matchup with a rookie QB, not a rookie head coach, but a rookie staff with this organization,
Right.
you were probably hoping that you were going to be able to get out of there without showing too much.
Right.
And
right.
they were able to do that. They were able to do
Mm-hmm.
like the most creative things you saw were Bijan and Tyler Allgeier being out there at the same time, Bijan going into motion, that kind of stuff, getting that little screen pass, which turned into a touchdown, and then getting Kyle Pitts deep out of a 13 personnel. That was something that and that had Kyle Pitts pumped.
Yeah, it did.
When,
Yeah,
when
it
he,
did.
when he hit that, when he saw, a deep ball, like the quarterback trust him with a catchable deep ball.
Yeah.
Like it was still a 50-50 ball, but it was put in a place that Kyle Pitts was the one that was going to have to make the play. And, Pitts come down with it. I don't think that was one more deep, that was the more deep passes than he caught last year. So, that had to get him pumped there. But yeah, like the O-line is going to have to figure itself out because you got Rashawn Gary. I don't know if y'all saw the play or not, but Lucas Van Ness got his first sack by running down Justin Fields.
Yep.
And, so that's, a guy you're going to have to watch out for, Kenny Clark. Like they got a line. So,
yeah.
They're going to have to move Ritter, do some stuff, and get more creative with getting him out of the pocket type deal, not just letting him sit back there because that could be
now
bad.
Like I'll say this, I know he was part of our ballas, but like the one critique that I will give Bijan Robinson coming out of this game is he has got to get better with pass pro.
Oh yeah,
oh my goodness.
He
oh
got ran over a couple times.
Oh my goodness. Don't even and the speed of the game, and it's a real game, and he wasn't out there doing it a lot in the preseason at all. So yeah, I think he'll clean that up now that he's gotten a taste of what it can be like if you don't block right.
Yeah. Because like he had, again, we reference it because we pay for it, so to speak, and we use it just as a metric, which is what it is. But he
Yeah.
had like a 36 in pass blocking on PFF. It was like it was red. I was like, it's gonna be a minute before he gets like
Yeah.
if people are looking for him to completely overtake uh, Tyler
Tyler
Algier,
Allgeier. Yeah.
he's gonna have to bring that pass blocking up
Yeah.
because right now, Tyler Algier's pass blocking is way better
Yeah.
than at least through one game. So we'll see
Yeah.
how that goes. Now, uh, before we get into like Q&A as we do to close it out, y'all were on the air with me last week as I was picking our I think it was last week as I was picking our uh, fantasy draft for the Falcons content creators. So I figured we'll spend a few minutes doing a fantasy football corner.
All right. Cool. Cool. Cool.
At least give y'all an update.
Cool.
So week one, pound for pound, went up against Forever A1, another Falcons content creators. And sad to say, unlike the Falcons, oh crap, there we go. Unlike the Falcons, we did not come away with a win.
No. As I told Jr. When I first got on and he showed me this, I was like, it's safe to say we were what you might call handled.
Yes, we got handled pretty good. Now I
Oh
don't have a
man.
screen
Yeah.
cap of the entire team, but I will
Wow.
say like
Yeah.
our QB in this league, we did all right. We got Trevor Lawrence, Damian Pierce, not the greatest move. Okay, not the
Oh
greatest.
man.
I hate to say it, greatest move. We've already, as a collective, the Royal we have already put in a request to get another running back because Philly forgot that DeAndre Swift was even on their team. So
Wow.
I thought that was going to be a little better. I was wrong. But, Jamar Chase, yeah, okay. Joe
Yeah.
Burrow,
He
remember
did.
the 82 yards that
Yep.
Joe Burrow? Yeah, okay. So, hey, but Chris Olave did us okay, unfortunately. So, yeah, we started 0-1,
That's funny.
but we're gonna make adjustments. We're gonna come back stronger, and hopefully y'all didn't follow suit in the ways of pound for pound as far as fantasy football. Well,
Billy.
Billy's telling me, he says just bench Swift and be patient. I'm gonna try. I'm trying to remind myself, Millie, that it is just week one, and not to make any kind of crazy rational decisions. So let us know down in the comments how y'all did in y'all's fantasy this week, if y'all did fantasy. Because, like I
Well,
said,
I won mine. I
did
won
you
my first week. Yeah.
now?
I inched it out.
Now uh my church league that I do, I won it. Like Drake
Okay.
London didn't help me
Yeah.
with his 0 points,
He didn't hit me either.
but Kirk Cousins did with his 43, and so did Stephon Diggs. So
Nice.
those two
Yeah.
like carried my team there. So, but now it is on to. I don't like I said. I know most folks they tend to start dropping like flies if we start talking fantasy too long. So let's get into some Q&A with the folks in the good chat. Let's see if I can find what the why in God's name is we got somebody named
Viagra.
Viagra in here. Go
Yep.
Oh
pack
man.
go. uh,
Wow.
but he did fix himself. He changed it from beat as in the vegetable to beat as in physically beat. So good job on catching yourself before we did. Let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's. I think I caught everybody off guard with the questions. Uh, Emmanuel says the personnel rotation was not good. We can't pull all of our second D line on the field at the same time. Well, we had to give somebody a rest because, like, if you notice, they had to put um, like Scotty Miller out there
Yeah.
returning punts. And
Hmm.
when Arthur Smith was asked about that, it was because of how much D. Alford was having to play.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see like when Mike Hughes comes back, do they bring him in to kind of spell D. Alford from time to time so he's can do the punts more?
Yeah, we definitely need to work on time of possession a little bit better.
Yeah.
this week.
Hmm.
We were down almost 10 minutes to the Panthers.
Woo.
But again, we lost time of possession, didn't have as many yards, still beat them by 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
Still beat them by two touchdowns
I will take all
I'll
the lessons out of the
all day.
win as I can.
I'll
Yeah.
take it, but you don't. That's not a world you want to live in.
No.
No.
That's not a world you want to live in. Uh, MJ says, should this be a should win game if we have high expectations for playoffs? I I think it's a winnable game. Like
Yes.
yes, score wise, uh, Green Bay looked dominant, but when you really look into it, it was more inflicted wounds by the
Yeah.
Bears
Chicago.
versus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was.
so this is a
Yep.
winnable game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is definitely a winnable game, and I think we should view it as such. Willie
Now
Dog
Green
said,
Bay does travel well though.
"Oh
They are
yeah,
another fan
Yeah.
base that travels well.
yeah, you gonna hear them in the
So
stadium. You gonna
yeah.
hear them. It's like the Steelers in the preseason. You gonna hear Green Bay." Uh, he says, "What do y'all think of Zach Harrison? I saw him on the field.
Yeah.
Like he didn't look like he was getting bullied. So
Yeah.
okay, debut for a
He
rookie.
was getting some pressure. I saw on some plays, and trying to chase down Bryce Young, but he didn't flash anything. I wasn't necessarily expecting him to, but it was encouraging that he was out there and seemed to be holding his own. So
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Toby, do you have anything to add on Zach Harrison?
No.
Gotcha. Bradley says thoughts on Mac Hollins. His hands seem super reliable. I like what he brought yesterday. I really like Mac Hollins. I know, like as we go on, the passing game is going to get more involved. It's not going to be. I can't pretend to think it's going to be 18 attempts. Unless a team just can't stop the run. So, but I liked what Mac Hollins brought when he got his targets. He was reliable with them.
Yeah.
Like I said, I keep saying that he gives me that Mohamed Sanu vibes. Uh, he has that swagger I like about him. So yeah, I think that's I was enjoying what Mac Hollins brought. Toby, you have anything you want to?
Oh, I love Mac Hollins. Now he's a guy that I want to talk about because he showed you why he's on the team. And then, it goes back to Kyle Smith and Terry Fontenot again, finding the right guys that fit your schemes. They so far week one for you to have those guys to already show why you went and signed them. It goes to a testament of bringing the right guys in here that are already productive. I mean, you took Bijan Robinson at number 8, okay, in this draft, and you paid JB3 Jesse Bates a lot of money, and you brought somebody in like a Mac Hollins, and they're already showcasing themselves in week one. That
Yep,
is a great sign, ladies and gentlemen.
I
Great
believe
sign.
I believe you are correct. True Black Gamer says, how long do you think we stay at 500 or above? Jonathan,
I
what do you
mean,
think?
at least through next week.
You think so? You think
I
you think
mean, worst case scenario, like we lose to Green Bay, we're still at 500 or above.
true?
I'm trying to think of who our first. So game 4 is Houston. I don't know who game 3 is. Is that Detroit?
Game 3 is Detroit, and they say week 4 is the London trip. Is that right? I heard
Oh,
that
so I
earlier.
guess so.
I
Yeah,
think
so
it's technically
we'll be week 5.
yeah, it's
So
Houston. So
that's gonna be the Jags.
yep, and that's gonna be that's shaping up to be like if they keep their trajectory going, that's gonna be interesting. So
That's gonna be a really tough game. I think that we will stay at or above 500. I think through week 4 at least.
there you go.
I
Yeah.
think we can win 2 of the next 3. Uh, we could. I think all 3 games are winnable. I think the absolute, we'll see how we come out of the weekend. I think the absolute toughest game of the first 4 is probably going to be Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think the Lions could be pesky, especially with Aiden Hutchinson, if we can't get that pass rush figured out.
Right.
So our pass protection figured out. So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But I think the first 4 games of the season are winnable, and I think we could stay at or above 500 throughout the first 4 or 5 games. Uh, so Toby, did you have a prediction on that?
The Falcons will finally win 3 games in a row for the first time under Arthur Smith. And I think
Okay.
it's going to happen in these first 3 weeks. So these next 2 weeks, they will win these next 2 games and have 3 games in a row for the first, or 3 game winning streak for the first time under Arthur Smith.
Okay. All right. No, I like it.
Nice.
I like it.
So that would keep us above 500 through at least week 6.
At least
Yes.
3-6. Yep. King 7 says, if Bates doesn't make those turnovers, are we the same Falcons defensively? What else was different other than the turnovers? I think the D line. Yes, we didn't get a ton of sacks, but the pressures felt like they were there. Especially, it didn't feel like it was just Grady Jarrett. Like you felt
Mhm.
like you had Onyemata getting in there. You had Lorenzo Carter with a sack. You had Calais Campbell with some pressures. So I think uh, the D line looked better. I'm still out a little bit on the linebacking core. Uh, I need to see them start to make some more plays. Like
Yeah.
Caden looked okay in coverage. He was out of his run fit maybe once or twice. I think people are kind of blowing that a little bit out of proportion. And Troy still looks like he looked better, but he's looked like he's still trying to find his way. So that's my thoughts there. So
Uh,
let's see.
and I think if we don't have all the turnovers, let's say that the 2 picks, at least one of those is just a breakup or whatever, then I still think there's a good chance we probably win the game. Is it going to be as much as we won by the on Sunday? Maybe not. I think we still probably would have found a way to win that game.
Yeah. Let's see. Genuine says, after watching week 1 and looking at the schedule, do you think the Falcons can finally make the playoffs? Make the playoffs again? I I think there's like I've said that before. I think there's the strongest chances we've had in a while. Uh, Toby, you want to add anything on that?
I'm not deviating from my
Yeah,
Super Bowl run.
right. Yeah, Toby definitely thinks. Right, right.
So obviously, I have them making the playoffs. But despite what I saw in that first half, I believe the Falcons have the makings of making it to the Super Bowl and winning it.
There you go, Jonathan.
I mean, I think we will. I think this, if nothing else, as we've seen, especially what we saw last year, as the season went along, the defense got better. I think that's going to do this. We're going to see the same thing here. Defense is going to get better, and I think the offense will start to find its way, start to find its rhythm as
Mhm.
we move through the season. And I think it'll be enough to get us into the play. Whether that means that we are in the playoffs because we won the division or we get a wild card spot,
Yeah,
couldn't even tell you. Don't really care. I mean, I would love to win the division, but I just want to make it to the playoffs.
yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Let's see. All right, got some more questions here. Ghost Pepper says, should we try to trade Heineke to the Jets? If they call and ask for him, I'm listening. Like, but they sound like they're going to at least try to ride with Zach Wilson for a little while.
Good luck.
So, yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Well, I mean, but the thing is, you bring in Heineke, then he's got to learn the system,
Yeah,
and it's just one of those situations where, like, unless you can bring in a guy who can come in this weekend and help you win, then I don't really think that they're going to worry too much about bringing in somebody else because Zach Wilson, whatever you think of him, he's been there. He knows the system.
yeah, he knows what they're
Uh,
doing.
exactly.
Hey, I'll say this: if you are a Green Bay quarterback, do not sign with the Jets because
Heck
the
no.
Jets seem to be the Green Bay QB killer.
Uh-huh.
Every time they get somebody, I mean, they had Brett Favre. He didn't have a successful season over there with the Jets, and then they got Aaron Rodgers, who just freakishly goes down
High
with
plays.
what is possible Achilles
Oh
injury,
no,
and
it's
that's
been
just
confirmed
crazy.
now.
So
It's
it's
been
confirmed.
yeah,
Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah,
wow,
it's confirmed. Yeah, he's done for the season. They
wow,
don't put him on IR.
time to
Yeah,
give it
Oh
up,
yeah.
Aaron. Time
that's
to give
it.
it up. Let the young boys have it.
Bobby Carter says, "Do you think Arthur Smith is playing chess with his play calling?" Not yet. Like I legitimately feel like, that they were trying to hold their hand as much as they could.
Yeah.
Like, and look, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. I'll tell y'all this now. Week one, like going forward, if a team can't stop the run, Arthur's gonna run the ball, like straight up and down. If if a team can't show that they can stop Tyler and Bijan,
Yeah.
like now this may go into later on, like years from now when we're talking about do we resign London or Pitts or whatever. Like we'll figure all that out later on. But not right now, I guarantee you, if a team can't stop the run, he ain't gonna deviate from it.
Yeah.
Fred says, "How much y'all think they'll let Ritter throw this game?" Kind of going back to what I said a second ago.
Yeah,
Y'all want
exactly.
to add anything to that on that end?
No, if the protection holds up, like if they,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they can get the running game going, they're probably going to continue to pound them and then probably see more play action.
Mm-hmm.
But again, does the pass protection hold up? Do they have time to do the things they want to do?
Right.
And if they do, then yeah, you'll see more throwing. You'll probably see more downfield throwing. But otherwise, you'll probably see a lot of the same stuff, like shorter passes, trying to get the ball out of his hand quick. Probably, and you'll probably see that a lot early on, anyways. So.
Mm-hmm. Willie asks, "Why was Parker Hesse out there and not John Fitzpatrick?" Because Parker Hesse's a beast, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, they brought him
drag
back
drag
up.
that drag that dude down by his horse collar.
He's like, ah. No, it's because I mean, Parker Hesse was a shock, but in a sense, but now like that we take time to actually like look at it, it's one of those like numbers games type deal. Like you could pay Parker cheaper if you cut him and then bring him back. Not that we necessarily need to pay him cheaper, but it's just one of those like moves that are it's like the arbitration type stuff in baseball or the sending guys down to the minors for X amount of days so that you have more control. It was explained to me that it's one of those type of moves.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't.
and Fitzpatrick wasn't even was he inactive?
Yeah, I believe he
Yeah.
was, if I'm not mistaken.
So
Uh,
like, and Hesse's a good special teams guy, as we
that's right.
saw. Perfect form tackle.
That's right. All right. Last starred question. Top 10 defense this year? What do you think? Anybody? I don't know if I want to go top 10 yet.
Ooh, Lord.
I want to say,
Yeah,
look,
I'm gonna
if
say
they can
middle of the
climb,
pack. I'm gonna say
I'm about to say, if
15.
they can climb to league average,
Yeah.
that will be a huge jump.
If
Yeah.
they stay at
So,
15, I think we'll be all right.
right.
Top
Uh,
15
J-
defense.
j- just need to shore up the run defense,
Yeah.
and you shore up the run defense, get the pass rush going at least somewhat consistently. It doesn't have to be dominating or anything like that, but just like putting pressure on guys on a consistent basis, get a few sacks here and there. You do that, I think this we'll be where we want to be defensively. It may not statistically show up as a top 10 defense, but I think it's going to be a rough and tumble defense.
all
Yeah.
right. King says, got a good one. If you can replace two positions on offense and defense, you can replace what would they be? I'm assuming you're talking about players. Uh, I would like to get a bona fide pass rush. I know we're hoping that it's going to step up, but let's be honest, we don't have a Brian Burns on our team. Not right now. We don't have a Nick Bosa. But then again, you have a Chargers team that has a Joey Bosa and a Khalil Mack, and Tua is absolutely killing them. But nonetheless, I would love a legitimate fire breather. So that would be one. And then give me a Bobby Wagner esque linebacker, like a prime Bobby Wagner linebacker or a prime Luke Kuechly linebacker, and I think that would be awesome. So I think those as far as offense goes, I think we're good. I think we'll be fine on offense. Like other than if you could drop Patrick Mahomes in here, obviously, but that's a whatever. Uh,
Like I because Matt Collins, I think is going to be fine. I
yeah,
think Drake's going to be fine. It's just
Yeah, he's gonna be all right.
it is what it is coming out of this game. We saw him last year. It's not like he can't win against good corners. We saw him win against good corners last year, so it's not like that anything has changed necessarily there. So I expect this is just an outlier again. Week one,
Yeah,
pass
crazy.
protection was breaking down,
Yep,
all that jazz. So I'm not too worried about it. The offense, I think, is going to be fine,
yep.
and I think the defense is going to be fine. But like I said, would I like what if somebody was like, "Hey, we'll trade I don't know Miles Garrett for freaking Bud Dupree."
Oh
Take
yeah,
that in
dude.
a
Yeah, would
heartbeat.
be. Man, did y'all see Miles Garrett out there like
Just
crossing people over, like acting like he's playing basketball? Good lord. Anyway,
yep.
uh, Willie Doc says Malone staying on the team.
Mm,
He's been the question mark, and
yeah.
like, what do you do with Malone? So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if after, like, if we still kind of have to manufacture a pass rush, if Malone gets a chance or not. But it'd be interesting. I don't know. I don't know because he seems like a guy that by week 5 or 6, if he's still inactive, like they may cut him loose in favor of something else,
Yeah.
in favor of a guy. What's up?
Project Warrior here. So, Ritter went 15 and 18, no turnovers, connected on his deep ball. Nothing told me we couldn't throw, only that Carolina couldn't defend our run. So why throw? But like we were able to run, yes. But again, the problem was every time we try, especially early on, it seemed like every time we tried to pass, their pass rush was just
Yep,
what
Man.
getting it.
was destroying any kind of
Yeah.
rhythm we wanted to get into.
Yeah.
So like at some point you can be like what was it? You can be a Josh Allen and be like I'm perfectly capable of moving this team down the field 5-10 yards at a chunk, and we could do this all day long. And then I'm just going to get impatient. I'm going to throw it up there,
Yep,
and I'm going to get picked 3 times, and it's going to ruin any kind of momentum we've got. Like this game, the game plan we had for the game as that game unfolded was let's not do anything that is going to put us into harm's way
Mm-hmm.
and put our defense in a bad spot. Our defense is holding its own, but let's not put them in a bad spot. And we didn't do that,
Right.
right?
nope,
So, like, I think we can run it, or I think we can pass it. We just need that right side of that offensive line to hold its own, hold its water for at least 3 or 4 seconds. Like,
right.
give me 3 to 4 seconds, and I think we're going to see a lot better results out of the pass game.
I think
Yeah.
so. I think it'll come. And look, if we're still talking this, if we're still looking at 18 attempts, 118 yards, come week 3 or 4, then we'll have a different tune about what we're doing. I'll be like, daggone, when we got Marcus Mariota all over again,
Yeah.
it'll be worrisome. Then I will be starting to look at like the coaches going, all right, guys, what is the deal here? If you don't trust, Ritter to do it, then put Heineke in there to do it, because
Yeah.
Heineke's a gunslinger. He'll throw the daggone ball. So we'll
But then,
start
but then,
figuring out.
but then when he comes in and he throws those deep balls and everybody and maybe connects on a couple and everybody's like, "This is what we've been
Yeah,
waiting on," and then he throws 2 picks
Hmm.
and loses you the game. You're like,
hey,
but
uh,
he threw it deep though.
he
It's
did
like,
throw it deep. Look,
yeah,
look. Again, all these things are fun and fine to talk about with a win.
yes,
So well, man, I think that's going to pretty much do it for us tonight. Uh, we appreciate all y'all who jumped in there with us and hung out, gave us your comments and things like that. We appreciate it greatly.
absolutely.
Um, as always, y'all can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128, GRIMM1128. Toby,
Toby D 1991.
Jonathan,
At Jonathan M. Holder, come by and say
there you go. We're going to start something a little different
hi.
coming out this weekend for the season. So check that out. Probably going to be like, I think the Saturday night time slot's a good one. That
Yeah,
gives us a little bit more flexibility to record it. So, uh, it'll probably be out Saturday evening around 5 p.m. And like I said,
just
it's
want to
a
put this, just want to put this out there. Rise up, fellas. Let's go 2-0.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yes,
That's
sir.
it.
Let's go.
Yeah. So keep your eye on the channel as we'll have a new show premiering. I guess you could say. Same time slot, new concept. So hopefully y'all enjoy it. I don't want to spoil it. I want y'all to be like properly teased by it. So keep your eye on that. We'll be back live next Tuesday, hopefully talking about another
Another
win
win.
against
Let's
Green
go.
Bay. That's what we're hoping for. Rise up. Let's do this. And as always, Falcons fans, rise up.
Rise up.
Rise up.